Hi, I'm John Luechtefeld. I'm with the Included, Supported, Empowered campaign here in Manchester, New Hampshire today, where we are at the campaign headquarters of former Maryland Congressman and current 2020 presidential candidate, John Delaney. John, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
It's very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
For our viewers on our social media pages, I know they're really interested in some disability-related issues, and so I was hoping to ask you a couple of questions.
Sure.
One question has to do with our DSP workforce. So direct support professionals are the folks who make it possible for people with disabilities to be included in the community.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we have a really big crisis in the workforce because there are almost 50% turnover rate. Wages are really low.
Yep.
It causes a lack of stability for the people who are supported by direct support professionals, and it's a really significant issue facing people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their providers. If elected president, how would you help to address this significant workforce crisis?
So it's a really important issue, and it really gets down to fixing our healthcare system. One of the main problems we have with our healthcare system is how we underfund so many programs. I just came from Iowa, where they just privatized their Medicaid, and it went really bad, and it's a huge problem. And I was with, a few months ago, a disability provider, and they were explaining to me how their rates were cut 20%.
Wow.
Through the Medicaid privatization. And they were already low, right? They were barely getting by. And we really have to fix Medicaid in this country, because if you don't have good reimbursement rates, then you can't build the provider networks, right? Because when you put yourself in a situation where the local McDonald's raises the minimum wage, which is great, we want them to do that, you can't have a situation where you lose some of your workforce in disability providers when that happens. So we need to make sure there's good reimbursement rates. We need to have grant programs that are strong. We need to do things in education, because even though we've made a lot of progress in education, like my state of Maryland in particular has done really well on disability issues, other states haven't done well enough. But also, Sean, it's sometimes little things. Like in Sweden, they allow 50% more time for people to cross the street. You know those flashing lights that tell you 30, 29, 28? They started 45.
Wow.
And they did that for two reasons. One, they wanted seniors to feel more comfortable engaging in society and going out and continuing to go to their local shops, but they also wanted people with disabilities to do the same thing, because they knew that when they were more engaged, it was not only good for them, but good for all of society.
Yeah, and I love that perspective, because it shows that sometimes we need to make really big investments,
right?
But sometimes it's the small, low-cost, but meaningful, movable things that we can do.
But you have to ask the right questions.
Yep.
You have to say to yourself, okay, what is the most successful outcome for all society? And it is not only for there to be equality, but for there to be engagement. And for certain of our citizens, we need to make some accommodations so that they can be engaged. Obviously, the American with Disabilities Act was historic in terms of how it made society more accessible. But we know it doesn't go far enough. We need the American for Disabilities Act 2.0, in my opinion.
Yes.
But you got to ask the right questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of asking the right questions, another one that I would love to hear about. As you know, too few people with disabilities are engaged in elections and in civic life generally. And in some cases, that's because of a lack of accessibility.
Yes.
In some cases, it's because people don't know their rights.
Yes.
Both on the campaign trail and if elected, what are some things that you would do to help engage folks with disabilities of all types to ensure that their voices are heard?
Well, I've committed to have a member of my cabinet be an individual with a disability.
Wow.
You know, because again, I've committed to have my cabinet represent the American people in all kinds of ways. But you're not doing that unless you have someone with disabilities.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you look at the percentage of our country that either has a disability or has someone in their immediate family that has a disability, you're not really hearing their voices. And that's one of the points of the cabinet, to make sure all perspectives are heard. And obviously, when you think about all the talented people in this country, and you think about the cabinet positions, you can create a cabinet with people with great expertise who actually represent the country. Because we have so much talent here, right? I mean, so that's really important to me. And then you know that someone's voice, because even well-intentioned people, you get caught up in things, and you may not be asking the question.
Yeah.
But if you have a member of your cabinet who has a disability, you're going to be asked the question. And that's what's really important. I mean, look at this. This issue has been important to me. My grandfather came to this country as a little boy, as an immigrant, and he only had one arm. And he was initially denied entry into the country. He was a little boy, he comes with his 7 brothers and sisters and his mom. They all get let into the country. This is 1923. but he was separated from his family, detained, and scheduled to be deported. And the only reason he actually got let into the country was because he had an appeal in front of a judge, and the judge also had one arm.
Wow.
So the only reason my grandfather...
What are the odds?
Yeah, right. Because the laws back then, no one with disabilities allowed.
Yeah.
And so he would have been deported. I wouldn't be here, obviously. But some one-armed judge looked at him and let him in. So I never forget that story. And it just shows you that everyone deserves equality and opportunity. And the only way, even good-minded people, unless you're always asking the question, you're not going to be producing those kind of outcomes.
Yeah.
Like most people here, when maybe we should have this, the crossings be another, 10 or 15 seconds, everyone's fine with that when they hear it, but no one thinks of it. But the people who will think of it is someone with a disability, who's a little anxious about going out because they might have a hard time crossing the street.
Yeah.
So that's why you got to make sure everyone's represented.
Yeah, it's the little things that
The
we take
little
for
things,
granted.
yeah.
Well, I really appreciate
Thank
your
you, John.
time today.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
If you want to learn more about John Delaney's campaign, you can visit johnkdelaney.com.
JohnDelaney.com.
JohnDelaney.com,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And if you are interested in learning more about why we all have a stake in ensuring people with disabilities are included, visit wehaveastake.org to learn more about the Included, Supported, Empowered campaign. Thank you.